What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur TV for another video on the second channel. Been a long time since I did a video here. Sorry, I've been very busy. There's other stuff that takes precedent to this, but I'm happy to be back today talking about Draymond Green. A bit of a story that kind of hits home to myself, and we're going to find out more along the way throughout this video. And if you find yourself enjoying this video along that way, make sure to drop a like to let me know what kind of videos you want to see, and also subscribe for more general NBA content. Sometimes, focus on the Raptors, but love the fact that I have an outlet where I can just talk about general NBA stuff. Just talk about what I want to talk about. And one of the biggest stories right now going along with the NBA Finals is Draymond Green. A little bit for the play that he's showing in these finals. Not playing particularly well. Actually, Game 4, box score looked better than normal. It still wasn't great. He did get benched in the fourth quarter, which was very, very strange to see. Ultimately worked out for the Warriors, who won, I believe it finished 107-97. But the big talk has been Draymond Green as a bit of a media outlet, because Draymond Green obviously has his podcast, and people are kind of saying the way he's playing is as a result of being distracted because, he's out here podcasting, he's out here doing his own show. So that's just what I wanted to discuss over the course of today's video. Is it a distraction? Should players really be allowed to carry out these media careers on top of being professional athletes? That's what we want to discuss in this one. Draymond Green, the title's a little bit bold, as many are on YouTube. Are players like Draymond Green ruining the NBA? So first of all, we're going to talk about Draymond Green. If he is distracted, if this is a problem. Then I'm going to talk about overall my thoughts on NBA players, kind of also sharing their own media side of the sport. So as far as Draymond Green goes, he's been doing this for quite some time now, and nobody has really said anything up until now in the playoffs. The reality is Draymond Green, from a statistical standpoint, has dropped off from earlier in the season, previous seasons, and it's affecting the Warriors for sure. That's why he got benched in the fourth quarter of Game 4. Ultimately, it may have helped the Warriors, but this drop-off, Draymond Green is getting older. He was never really a guy filling up the box score. Sure, there were some NBA Finals games where he loaded up the stat sheet, but he's just not that player anymore. He's not the same player as he used to be. He's getting older. Father time is always going to be undefeated. He's just not playing that well. Also, even without the age thing. So sometimes players just have bad stretches of games. Sometimes people go on a bad run. And when the media continues to beat you down about your performances, it could get a little bit worse. For Draymond Green, it got better in Game 4. He actually did produce better in Game 4. But as far as it goes, Draymond Green has been doing this for a long time. He's been doing this all throughout the season as well. So why are we only talking about it now? Well, Steve Kerr doesn't feel it's a distraction overall. It's up to him whether or not Draymond Green plays. In the last game, that wasn't the case. But for Draymond Green, he's been doing this for a long time. Nobody said anything until the performances started to drop. So why wasn't it a distraction when the Warriors were flying in the regular season and Draymond Green was playing well? That wasn't a distraction then. It's only now because it's not going so well for the Warriors, who are now 2-2 in this series. And I believe, after losing one of the home games, they're fortunate to snatch up that Game 4, because I think the Celtics were much the better team throughout that game. Regardless, it's only coming up now. Now, I agree that, things like this, right after getting ejected and kind of clickbaiting his reaction to his ejection, anybody on YouTube is going to clickbait. He wants to succeed here, and he should be allowed to do this, because for NBA players, let's think about the NBA player schedule here. The notion that players, athletes in general, just need to be married to the grind, always worrying about basketball, always worrying about their craft. That's BS. Let's think about it here. So when the Warriors have a game, which they don't every night, for a lot of the NBA Finals, it's been 2 nights off. Well, as it comes to these games, you're probably at the arena for 6-7 hours, I would say. You arrive 2 hours before, 3-hour game, then you spend an hour thereafter. You have media availability, 6 to 7 hours. I think that's fair. There's 24 hours in a day. You're probably sleeping for about 8 of those, healthy habits, sleeping 8 of those. So that's 15 hours of your day focused, or 15 hours of your day where you're occupied by something. That leaves you, let's say, 9 hours of time. We'll shrink it down. You've got, eat, travel time, whatever. But there is a good chunk of time. This is the point I'm getting at. A good chunk of time where a player has nothing to do, where, they've got to chill out. The game is later today. They can't be going out and doing all these things. why not use yourself as content? For myself personally, like, this is a great outlet for me across all my platforms to just convey my opinions on basketball. It's fun. It's a way of reaching out, making an impact on a fan base, on a community. I feel like I can, I feel like I'm allowed to say that at this point, the way I've built up my brand, and it's fulfilling. I enjoy it. It's fulfilling. And for an NBA player wanting to get a little bit of break from working on his game all the time, it's a fulfilling hobby, and it's a healthy hobby. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. You're just speaking into a microphone. And it's not like Draymond Green is the first to do this. JJ Redick has built up his podcast extremely well. He does a very good job. I listen to it sometimes as a guest I want to hear from. Recently did one with Stephen A. Smith. Really enjoyed that episode. There was one with Nick Nurse. Really enjoyed that. And plenty of others that I've enjoyed. JJ Redick was podcasting well before he retired from the NBA. Nobody really said anything. It's just that the Warriors and Draymond Green in general are such a hyper-focus in media because they're one of the last two teams, and this is just built up into such an incredible story right now. Players do this. CJ McCollum has done this, and how great was he? How great was he near the end of the season for the New Orleans Pelicans? So, I don't think that it's a distraction. There are players who do this, and there's other players beyond the ones I've listed who can, have this little bit of a, not really a job, but do these things in media, and they can still produce on the court. Draymond Green is trying to leverage himself, his likeness, into a media career. Because you have to remember, for an average Joe, you're working from, a horrible system. It is a system that we live in right now, not to get political. You're working from essentially like 20 years old until, 65, maybe even more, maybe a little less, depending on your job. But you're working for like 45 plus years to save up to retire. Well, these NBA guys play until, a lot of them 35 years old before they retire, before their body just isn't capable of sustaining a level to play in the NBA. For the average NBA player, your career is only like a few seasons long. So you have to remember, once their body just won't let them compete on that level anymore, their career is done. Their ability to make money as a basketball player is over. So they're looking after themselves, their families. They want to build a career beyond being an athlete. So for Draymond Green, when Draymond Green retires, like, how quick is ESPN going to be to give him a contract, right? And the reason they're going to do that is because he's worked so hard to build that up. Now, you could argue 100% that his focus needs to be on the Warriors. His focus doesn't need to be on the Warriors and his ability to play basketball 24 hours a day. He needs to have some downtime. Healthy habit for an athlete is to have these hobbies, to take their mind off of things, to kind of cool them down. You don't want to be, completely 100% on it all the time. That's so unhealthy. That's a very bad habit. So I think this is a healthy way for Draymond Green to, build a future career. I think this is a healthy way for Draymond Green to get, a little bit distracted from working on his game. Obviously, he's talking about the games in these podcasts, but it's a healthy way for him to decompress, in my opinion. And just think about the world we're living in. Like a player in the NBA Finals providing his own point of view and content very candidly on his own platform. Like, think about that 20 years ago. Wouldn't you love to get the perspective of an athlete? Like, obviously they have their media availability after game, their press conferences, but not many, if any, players are truly themselves in those situations. So we're getting this inside point of view that we've never had before from all these players. And that is just so wonderful. Like as a content consumer, that's great. Like, we love this. We want to listen to this. And Draymond Green is doing a great job of being clickbaity because he knows he's getting clicks. He's probably, I'm not somebody who watches his content. He's probably getting more clicks than he's ever gotten right now because people are so focused on what he's saying about these games. And that is why he does it. The interesting perspectives that we're getting. It is a very modern thing. And he's spoken a little bit about how player media is going to kind of take over traditional media. Traditional media, I mean, like ESPN, stuff like that. I don't necessarily think that's the case. There's always going to be a place for the guys who don't have like a stake in any of these teams and they're just giving their opinions. There's always going to be a place for the Stephen A. Smiths, maybe not the Skip Baylesses, but guys like that. You know who I'm talking about. Mike Greenberg. and whatnot, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe people like myself, like maybe much bigger people than me on YouTube, giving opinions on various things. That's always going to be around. But I think that those traditional media outlets can coexist with the player media, and the player media, I believe, is just getting started because we now have the means to do it. The technology is there for these players to do it really on their own. Like if I'm able to do it on my own, surely somebody with way more money than me, like Draymond Green, is able to accomplish this. And another thing, just to finish off, like there's all these guys doing NBA media, like Draymond Green, JJ Redick, CJ McCollum, doing it in their playing days. JJ Redick did it in his playing days. Well, like how about all these guys? Like this isn't a bad thing, but how about all these players Twitch streaming, like Warzone, Twitch streaming Fortnite? Like, is that better? We don't say anything about that. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but nobody says anything about that. But people have a problem with Draymond Green talking about the game. Like, as long as your organization, your coaches, your teammates are okay with everything, I don't see a problem with it. And I would say, like, look, if you're gonna let a guy play Fortnite, which is or Warzone on stream, then you can let Draymond Green talk a little bit about basketball. I would say that's more focused on basketball than doing all these other things. Both are fine, but like, why are we criticizing Draymond Green? Just doesn't make sense. I think the criticism is stemming from his poor play in general, and people are kind of looking for a reason for his poor play. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, he's getting older, and players have bad stretches. It's just the nature of sport in general. So I don't think players like Draymond Green are ruining the NBA. I don't think you should feel that way. I don't want to tell you how you should feel, but come on, you got to understand where he's coming from. And I hope I kind of made a good point as to why content creation within the NBA sphere should be accepted. So that is it from this one on Amateur TV. Sorry for the big hiatus. The reality is I have a full-time job, and I'm juggling now TikTok and Reels. I'm juggling the main YouTube channel. I'm juggling Twitch streams. So sometimes I just don't have time for things like this. So I do my best, but I hope you enjoy the videos when they come out like this one. If you did enjoy this one, please drop a like. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. We've got 9,000 subs on the main channel, which you should be subscribed to as well. But this one is 400, and we're looking to continue to build this one up. So liking does go a long way to help. And if you're new and you like me, or you haven't checked in the main channel, you just stumbled on this video, be sure to subscribe to this one for plenty of general NBA content with a little bit of a focus time to time on my favorite team, the Toronto Raptors. We'll see you again for another video on Amateur TV.